Rob, let's get into it. Tampa Bay shocked by Pittsburgh Steelers
and they're
team
a bad
that
team,
got
Chris.
demolished by Buffalo the week before. They are bad. Obviously, they had a spirited performance, but there's no excuse. Tampa Bay, it is an ugly, ugly loss. Tom Brady did not play well. He was one of, I don't know that any Buccaneers played well when you lose to a team in the position of the Steelers. But Brady wasn't particularly good. And it came out, Rob, that he missed the Saturday walkthrough because he went to Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, obviously a good friend of his. And he went to Robert Kraft's wedding and missed the Saturday morning walkthrough. And
didn't fly with his team.
That's become a big story because of the way they lost. And clearly they didn't look prepared and they didn't play well. Now, Todd Bowles, the head coach, Rob, he comes out today and he addressed it. Here's what he said.
This is social media, right? We're all on it. We all people look at Tom going to a wedding, missing what he missed, Saturday walkthrough meeting. They see the 11 days, and when you're losing, it becomes, that this guy's not as invested. He's treated differently. Is that fair to the rest of the team? Or guys in the locker room talking about it? What's your take on just from your perspective about him sort of perceptively getting special treatment?
He works as hard as anybody, special treatment. There's been a few guys that missed some meetings and some practices for some special thing that just doesn't get publicized because they're not him. So it kind of comes with the territory. You don't worry about it too much.
Rob, here's what I think. Do I think Tom Brady would have played better had he been at that walkthrough? I don't think walkthroughs you're doing too much. I mean, James Jones, former receiver with the Packers, he was with us today on First Things First. He said, walkthroughs are no big deal. I mean, you don't do anything. But I don't know that it affected his actual performance. But here's what I'll say. Tom Brady has undermined the authority of Todd Bowles. And that started with the 11-day hiatus from training camp. And then the Wednesday practices, I don't think that's as big of a deal. Other players are taking off certain days. But this, Bill Belichick, Rob, wasn't at Robert Kraft's wedding. Because he told him, look, we got things to do this weekend, obviously, which is play football, and we'll celebrate and, we'll do it another time. Obviously, Kraft understood. No current Patriots
of course
were at
not.
The wedding. And so to me, Rob, what this does is undermine Todd Bowles in the eyes of the other players. And I think it takes away from Tom Brady's authority. And when you saw him upbraiding the offensive line, saying they weren't playing well, yelling at them, I don't doubt that some of those dudes were sitting there. And James Jones said it looked like the face. He brought this up. He said, you look at their faces. They're thinking, man, do your job. Now, and Rob, and we've said this before, obviously Brady's great. And I think of him as the GOAT. And I think everybody in that locker room respects him. But it doesn't matter who you are. We saw it with Michael Jordan. His last year in Washington, players who grown up idolizing him couldn't stand him. Not because he wasn't working hard, but just the attitude he was bringing. And they can do the same with Tom Brady. So I think it's undermining his own authority in the locker room, his ability to lead in the locker room. Everybody knows he hasn't been doing this for the past 21, 22 years, however long he's been playing. And now all of a sudden you're doing it and you're not playing well. Would you do it with Belichick? Would you do it with Arians? So I just think it's a negative for the team, a subtle negative that I think does show up on the field in certain ways.
I'm gonna say, Todd Bowles, shame on you. I'm serious, Chris, because ultimately he's going to be the one held responsible, okay, when other players decide they want to do their own thing as well and all kinds of issues, because it's not just And you just said it. No Patriots or Bill Belichick didn't even go to the wedding. They're working, Chris. I heard Tom Brady with my own 2 ears say that he missed birthdays and weddings and funerals for the last 20 years. And now he's going to a Saturday night, a wedding in New York, and not flying with his team. And he took 11 days. You think he would have taken 11 days off with the Patriots? No. Tom Brady's not in. And you can't have it both ways, Todd Bowles. You can't ask everybody else to be in.
I'm out.
When your quarterback, your leader's not in. It ain't about the past. We know what he's done. Either you're in or you're out. Tom Brady's made it very clear. He's out.
I'm out.
F you, guys. I'm going to do what I want to do. We got it. Everybody's going through issues. Family issues, Chris, kids, wife, right? He's not the only one. And now to do this and then have a piss-poor performance against a bad team? You're not flying. The last time Urban Meyer didn't fly with the team, Chris, you remember that? After they lost? Tom Brady
was gone a few weeks later.
Right. But Tom Brady not flying with his team, and you just said it. The only people who were there, Chris, were former players.
Right.
Nobody currently playing is going to a wedding on a Saturday night before a game. That's total disrespect to Todd Bowles, total disrespect to all of his teammates, and then to have the nerve to stand on the sidelines and chastise them and berate them for not playing well. I mean, that takes some balls. It just does.
It just, and look, I'm all for it. He's a leader and he's, been doing that, and that's fine. But it's not, Rob, here's my thing. It's not going to come off the same way, and it even can come off negatively. I don't know if it is or not, but it can come off negatively when you're not there. And I'm sure Brady feels like he's all in. But all we're saying is you have done it one way for 20 plus years.
And now you've
every
changed
year
it.
of your career, and you've had a tremendous amount of success. And now you're doing it differently, and you're not, at least at this point, they're not having much success. And so come on. It's 2 and 2 equals 4. You did it the one way and it worked. You're doing it this way and it's not working.
And Chris, you brought up.
And Rob, LeVar Arrington, you remember with the 11 days.
Right.
At training camp. And LeVar, who was obviously a former Pro Bowl player himself, he said, look, at some point we all grown men. I'm out here working my tail off. I know you Tom Brady and you the GOAT and all that, but still. These dudes are all prideful, Rob. These dudes all got egos. They all were superstars at some point.
Right. That's how they made it to the NFL. And I'm with them. And I just think, of all people, Chris, Bill Belichick wouldn't even entertain the idea, right? That's the owner of his team who's paid him for the last 20-some-odd years, right? You don't think he wanted to be a part of the wedding celebration?
Absolutely.
Of course he did.
Absolutely.
But he had bigger fish to fry. Yep. I wish some player would have said, I want to go to the owner's thing. Bill would have been like, well, you're not coming back here after you go to
you're not playing.
You're not playing. Are you kidding? You must be
go
crazy.
And stay there.
Exactly.
Go on the honeymoon with him.
Anything
Let me ask you this, Rob, quickly before we go to the listeners. Are you writing off Tampa as a contender in the NFC?
I don't know. This whole football season, I'm not convinced of all these teams with the big records. I'm not. So I don't know. There's a long way to go. You still got 11 games.
Right.
So I'm not
really
there.
early.
You know what I mean? I mean, look at all the teams that are struggling. Look at the Jets and the Giants and all these other teams who are doing well. I'm still not buying
You
yet.
obviously got to take them over the Giants.
You know what I mean? Right. I'm just not there yet. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not writing them off almost out of default because the NFC just said,
it's
Philly
crazy.
is clearly at this point, you would say, the number one
Green
team.
Bay's
and probably
terrible.
Dallas is number 2, right? Green Bay's right.
terrible.
San Francisco just lost to Atlanta.
They got blown
aren't
out.
good.
The Rams won,
aren't
Chris,
good.
and they look terrible winning that game.
Yep. I got to be honest, Rob. This is the worst conference I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it is very, very weird. Very weird.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, they're still in the hunt. But
They're not under 500. They're 3-3. I mean,
right.
Chris, they can win 8 games in a row and then be 11-3. I'm just saying.
They just got to turn it around because this isn't. It just doesn't look good, and it's not a good way to end. If indeed this would be the last year of his career. Your turn to weigh in on Tom Brady breaking camp and breaking the walkthrough, right? To break bread with Robert Kraft. Right.
All right, Mark in Sacramento. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Mark?
What's going on, gentlemen? I like that comeback music with Barry White. If you with your woman and you don't get with your woman and you don't get no loving, it ain't Barry White's fault.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
Real quick, that's totally disrespectful. First of all, to the organization that he played for, to leave them and go to another organization. I don't care who it is, another organization's player that close to a game time. Right. This has been a train wreck from the beginning. He retired. First of all, he tried to go to Miami. Then he retires.
Right.
Then he comes back. Then he leaves for 10 days. Then he does this. And you can see his anger building. He's been yelling at these guys for three games.
I haven't really seen him smile. I mean, I'm sure
he's really frustrated.
I
agree, Mark. He has been hostile.
Yep.
And there's a time bomb inside, and it leads back to what's going on at home. If mama's unhappy, everybody's unhappy. That's an underlying current here. It's building.
Yep.
I wonder.
Thanks, Mark.
Because I gotta believe, Rob, that there's other issues besides him playing. Because
it's gotta be.
But it on that point, that you'd give that up to play, but you wouldn't miss dude's wedding.
That's crazy.
It's just it don't make sense.
All right, Jerome in Charleston, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Jerome?
Hey, everybody knows that Todd Bowles is like a son to Bruce Arians, and that's the real reason he's got that job. And by the way, Brady's the coach, man. He's Todd Bowles' daddy. You can't tell Brady what to do. He's the Super Bowl 8-time champion. You know that? Come on.
No, I know, Jerome.
Look, I will say this.
It
Rob.
looks like that.
It's a tough situation for
Thanks,
Todd
Jerome.
Bowles. Because if he does, let's say he came down hard on Brady, do you think the organization would back him?
Well, my only thing is he's going to get blamed for it though when Brady's good. That's my only thing is like.
No, you're right.
And then if other players, Chris, like start to test him or do stuff, right? Then it's going to be like, oh, Todd Bowles can't control them. That'll be the knock on him.
You're totally right.
Marty,
totally right.
In Kentucky, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Marty?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing this Magic City Monday?
Doing great,
Good,
buddy.
Marty. How are you?
I'm great. I'm enjoying this fall. Football season's in full effect, and we're seeing a major shift in the NFL. We're seeing defensive games. We're seeing what people call bad football. We see adjustments on the defense. I love it. I love the evolution of football. But we're also seeing something we never seen before, and that is Tom Brady in a situation that he's not in control. Home life obviously
in disarray
is a distraction. His focus on the team is not there. I'll tell you what, as a Steelers fan, I've watched him pick apart the Pittsburgh Steelers 3-4 defense his entire career. Right. And to watch a game where he doesn't just seem to have the mental upper hand of just picking that defense apart, especially without their best player out there to pass rush. I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, well, he's really not in control. He's human.
That's a great point, Marty. And Rob, one thing I said, and I've been saying since his last year in New England, he could no longer carry, mediocre skill position.
No. They got to be good.
They got to be stars. And typically in Tampa, whenever he's got, I'll just say Godwin and Evans. I mean, that's two really good receivers right there. He's been really good. He had them on Sunday, and he still was bad. So this is a look again. I don't want to jump the gun.
No, we're not going to jump the gun.
He's really washed up, but he's not looking like the Tom Brady we've all come to know over these last
and doing decades. The stuff you just talked about, Chris. Doing the stuff that like I told you before. He said it. I done missed funerals, weddings, Chris, birthdays of kids, all kinds of stuff over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And now he has to go to this Bob Kraft, who's 81 years old, getting married. I mean, really? Like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
It wasn't your son's wedding, Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real.
I know.
Really?
I know. I hear you. You're totally right. All right.